Councilman, we really appreciate you coming on. Obviously your district is in the next 11 years going to be really looked at by people and stuff because of the 76ers arena and how that, kind of unfolds and everything. I think for us and for people that are listening, let's just, take a step back first. Like, where are we at really in the timeline for this stadium right now?
Well, I know the Sixers had announced they wanted to have some type of legislation by June. I find that very hard to believe since they are still in an engagement process. It's still early on. There still needs to be a lot of work that has to be done, and not only with the community, the Chinatown neighbors and Wash West community neighbors, but also with the adjoining businesses there, Reading Terminal Market, Jefferson building there, also with SEPTA and other things. So there's a lot of conversations to be had to see how this arena, if it was going to be situated where they wanted to be located, how it would impact the surrounding community and if it could work. I like the conversations. Initially there's a lot of opposition to that, concerns from the surrounding communities. But I think it's only fair to have this process play out and have the community's input and the other stakeholders part of those conversations so that to see if it could actually work in the location where the 76ers want to put the arena.
So I want to ask you, what do you make of this area in general? Obviously, it's your district. It's had a number of projects in it since the 1970s. At the gallery, it had going all the way back to straw bridges and all that back in the day. What do you see kind of as like the future of Market East? Is it the fashion district? Is it the stadium, or is it something else entirely we don't even think about?
Yeah, I mean it's very challenged right now. There's a lot of concerns in Market East. One of our goals and priorities is really try to solidify East Market so that it would be a place, a destination. Macer Rich and Preet invested upwards of $400 million into the fashion district recently, and unfortunately, the timing of opening up right before the pandemic, just put a real damper on, their performance. And so that is still a challenged area. It's a very challenged area. They had the proposal, if you remember, there was a casino proposal for the old hole in the ground site of Disney Quest that actually didn't pan out also. Center City's looking for some type of vibrancy. And this is an opportunity. But again, you don't want to destroy an area by trying to increase its potential. So I think what we want to do is first is look at what are the challenges of a site in and near a vibrant Chinatown community. How can those challenges be mitigated by the development team? And I think what they're doing right now is meeting with the community, hearing from them. There's some people really adamantly opposed to it. There's other people who are saying, let's wait and listen and let's see what's happening. So I think they're going to allow the process to play out, listen to it, and then offer up some ideas of how they could hopefully mediate some of those concerns in order for this project to move forward.
So when you go to the arena website, they call this part of the process entitlements and approvals. And, you mentioned all the conversations they're having with Chinatown and with the city and various organizations and whatnot. Mark, where does that all have to go in order for us to kind of say, all right, this is going to happen. We're moving on to the next phase here. Like, do people have to be in agreement? Do we have to reach a certain threshold here? What's kind of the arbitrary point there?
Well, anytime you have a project of this size, and no matter where it's at, when you talk about development, you never have everybody in agreement. It's impossible. I think what you try to do is go with the majority of folks, and then sometimes it's split right down the middle, and you have to make a decision on how to move forward. But when dealing with something this big, it needs legislation. So in order to have legislation, you're going to have input from the surrounding communities because there's going to be a public hearing. Once the legislation is introduced, and I had committed to, if there is legislation introduced on this, that it would be shared with the community 30 days ahead of time. And this way they could review it. But then there's going to be a public process. So during that public process, if all these things aren't done ahead of time, it'll be a nightmare for everybody, including the development team and the 76ers, as far as elected officials are concerned. So, you want to do all that hard legwork ahead of time. And so if there's going to be a community benefits agreement or there's going to be some mitigations like there is down in South Philadelphia for their stadium district per se, then that all has to be figured out before we would introduce legislation. So I don't see anything happening by the Sixers deadline of June. But, is it possibly to work its way out through the summer and then come up with, I mean, there's still 9 years to go before the end of their contract with Comcast. So I don't think they need to start building it, next year. But I do think that, they are really engaged in the process. They are, spending some of their resources to understand what the concerns are. And I think then come up with a mitigated plan that could address those concerns. And at that point, we'll make a decision, whether moving forward right now. I think right now it's a little too early to tell, what direction it's going to go in. And I think we have to at least have all the conversations first.